Okay, welcome everyone to this September edition of the TDL Member Forum. We're glad you're here today to hear a little bit about the goings-on at the Texas Digital Library. My name is Kristi Park, and I'm the Director of TDL, and I'm joined by Courtney Mumma, our Deputy Director, and Leah DeForest, our Communication Strategist. We're going to do something a little bit different today. Earlier this month, we met with all of our member deans and directors as part of the annual member board meeting at the Texas Council of Academic Libraries that takes place every year. And we talked with them about the work of TDL over the last year and what we're planning to do going forward. And so we thought we'd take this opportunity at the start of our academic and fiscal year to talk with you, all of you, about some of the same things that we shared with them. So we will talk today about the state of TDL as we look back over 2019, and we'll report out on some of our 2020 goals. So I regret to inform you that you'll mostly be listening to me for this particular forum. Leah will come in towards the end to provide some updates on community activities and some reminders, and then we'll have time for Q&A, I hope, at the end of the half hour. Just a couple of housekeeping reminders. If you have questions, please feel free to use the chat window to ask those, and we'll find an appropriate time to answer them. You also have the ability to download the slides in the files pod in the bottom of the screen. And as I said, we are recording this, so you'll be able to access the recording on the TDL YouTube channel later on. Okay, so now we'll head into some updates that we provided to our member board a couple of weeks ago. Some updates about what our board has been up to, our finances, and our goals and objectives for projects and services in the coming year. First off, this is our TDL Governing Board for academic year 1920. We welcome a new chair for our governing board this fall, David Carlson, the Dean of Libraries at Texas A&M University. And we're also welcoming back Shauna Kennedy Whittar of West Texas A&M, who was elected to return to the governing board for a second three-year term in one of our at-large spots on the board. And I'll just note that this governing board is the board that provides us with strategic direction for the organization. They are a subset of our full member board, which consists of all the deans and directors of all of our members. So we meet with them twice a year, and we will meet again on November 1st for our fall governing board meeting. I want to take just a minute to thank our outgoing board chair, Lisa German, the Dean of Libraries at University of Houston, for her energetic and really engaged commitment during her year-long leadership as chair of the governing board. We look forward to another great year of working with this group. One of the things that the governing board worked on this year was creating more transparency into the processes and decision making of the board. And in the spirit of those efforts, we created a collection in our TDL Space Repository for board materials, where we will be sharing out agendas, minutes, and other materials from those board meetings. And it was a thing that we just hadn't done, but we weren't hiding anything, but we hadn't really done anything to proactively share these materials. So we're really excited to have this set up. You can go to the collection at the link here and see what we've got in there so far. We have started with our most recent meetings, and we'll be retrospectively adding materials from past meetings, and of course, new meetings going forward. So just a little bit about where we are with services. We currently have 24 members or 24 institutions who participate in the TDL consortium. Some of those members or institutions are part of consortial membership. We are providing 20 hosted DSpace installations for 17 of those members, and host about 10 terabytes of content in those repositories and about 190,000 items. Our newest repository is the University of North Texas Health Science Center DSpace repository, which is in the middle of a soft launch of the repository right now. We also host Vireo for 15 members and academic open access journals for 13. We have about 74 journals that we're working on upgrading right now. We have 9 members participating in the Texas Data Repository and a growing number of dataverses, which are like collections, data sets, and files in that repository. And we have 5 members utilizing our digital preservation services, and we have nearly 60 terabytes of content in our digital preservation storage. Some of that content is replicated content from our partners at Chronopolis at UC San Diego. Next, a little bit about our fiscal health. As you may be aware, TDL has been undergoing a transition with our membership fee structure that, for the most part, ends this fiscal year. So this is for most members the last year of any stair-step increases or changes to the membership fee structure. You can see here that we've had relatively stable income from membership dues over the past few years, with a slight dip in fiscal year 18. That dip was due to the changes that we began implementing that year, which brought down dues for the ARL members and restructured fees across the membership. We opted to use some of our cash reserve to bridge the gap. We knew we were going to take in less money in fiscal year 18 because of those changes, and use some of our cash reserve to bridge the gap until we got back up to our usual membership income. And you can see we've recouped that income and then some in the 3 years of that transition period. Partly due to the phased-in increases, partly due to incremental membership growth and growth in service usage over that time. And the other thing I want you to notice here is the change in percentage or proportion of our membership income that's come from our 4 ARL members versus the rest of the membership. One of the reasons why we made the changes to the membership fee structure is that we were getting more than 60% of our membership income from only 4 libraries, 4 members. And that was not a healthy or sustainable situation for the organization, either for our ARL members or for TDL. So by next year, both through restructuring and growth, we've flipped that percentage so that 60% of the membership income is coming from 20 of the members rather than 4. And we'll keep shrinking that percentage of the ARL contribution as we grow the rest of the membership. That's the goal. But we're pleased with the progress we've made on that particular goal. Another thing that our board worked on this year, just for your information, is establishing a policy regarding our operating reserve, our cash reserve. We've had a healthy operating reserve for quite a few years, maybe a little too healthy, and we wanted to establish a formal policy, which we hadn't had, for how much we really needed to retain of that cash reserve. And that does a couple of things for us. It makes it gives us, the organization, confidence and stability in terms of thinking about if the organization needed to wind down for whatever reason, there's no there's no inkling of that happening, but it's just good policy to have a plan for that. And if that would happen, we want to make sure we have enough cash in hand to, wind down the organization. So the other thing it does for us is it gives us some ability and some space to spend down what we have above that amount to invest in the membership and the health of the organization. So our board, after some research and discussion, established a cash reserve policy of maintaining 3 months worth of operating funds at all times for use in case of emergency or in case we need to wind down operations. We set that reserve amount, the actual cash amount each year based on expected income. And you can read the full policy in the DSpace repository at this link here if you're interested. So what this has allowed us to do is think a little bit more strategically about how we might use our cash reserve over and above that 3-month emergency reserve amount. And you can see here that, we have budgeted income of not quite $1 million. We'll be planning to spend a little more than $1 million this year, some of that coming from that cash reserve that we're going to invest in appropriate one-time expenses for the benefit of the organization. Some of that money, it's about $135,000 that we've budgeted out of the reserve. Some of that money will be going to contract with software developer to do some work that we need done with our Dataverse repository. Some of it will go to a consortial membership in the Open Textbook Network for the organization, which I'll talk about in a little more detail in a minute. And some of it will go to some one-time professional development expenses. And I'm happy to answer. This is the last slide I'm going to go over with the finances, but if anybody has questions or would like to see the full budget or things like that, I'm happy to share those. The more detailed budget will be in that board collection in our DSpace repository as well. So next I want to talk a little bit about our plans for the coming year, and we've called these strategic objectives. I think they probably don't quite rise to the level of strategic objectives, but they're ways of thinking about and categorizing the work that we plan to do over the next year. And one of the things that is really a top priority for us this year is to complete some strategic planning for the organization. Our current strategic plan goes through 2020. It's referenced here on this slide. You can refresh your memory about our mission statement and our strategies that we've been working under for the last 3 years or so. But we are wanting to go through some additional strategic planning to think about where we want to go and who we want to be as an organization, 3 to 5 years from now. So we have been doing some data gathering over the last several months and continuing through this fall through what we're calling our member census, where we're physically going and visiting each one of our members and getting lots of good information from talking to all of you, and through a survey that we'll be releasing in October to get even more data from our members about their needs, their objectives locally, how they're using our services, and what they think we could improve with our current service suite and potential additional services. We'll be doing planning at the staff level through the spring, and then board level strategic planning in the summer, culminating in a new strategic plan that will come out in the summer 2020. In addition to that, we are doing some operational level planning related to each of our services. We started this last week at our staff retreat, which we have every year, really focusing in on DSpace and kind of what we want to do with DSpace. So we'll have more about roadmaps for each of these services as the year progresses. Related to services, then we have a number of kind of general areas of work that we want to focus on with our core services and infrastructure, including evaluation of DSpace 7 should a mature release um, come before us, and some enhancements focused on accessibility compliance and better reporting in DSpace. We're working on upgrades. We're working towards upgrades of Vireo 4 in 2020. We're piloting that this fall. We have some goals for improving systems automation and kind of under the hood improvements for our systems. And we've got plans for supporting new research data use cases in the Texas Data Repository, particularly supporting the ingestion of larger data sets in TDR than what we currently can support. And with digital preservation services, we are focused on developing that service model for private and sensitive data storage in our digital preservation service options. And that work is being done through an IMLS planning grant that we received for the coming or the current fiscal year. This is pretty high level and superficial, but this gives you some ideas of some of the things we're thinking about with our existing services. We're also focused on expanding some kind of incremental expansions in services to meet needs that have been expressed to us via member feedback, with emphasis on support for open educational resources and DPLA aggregation services. So I'm going to talk at some length about OER support, but know that we don't have every single thing figured out on this yet. So we will be hosting a webinar in probably early October. We're getting the date set for that, where we will really focus on what's coming with open educational resources support. But I want to share with you what we know as soon as we know it, so that you can start thinking about it and preparing for it. So as I mentioned, TDL is joining the Open Textbook Network as a consortial member. Open Textbook Network is a membership organization that's administered through the University of Minnesota. There are members all over the country. We have institutional members here in Texas who belong to OTN, and they help build leadership and kind of capacity for organizing open textbook and OER incentive programs on their campuses with faculty, and for building building sets of resources for open educational resources. So we'll be joining as a consortial member. All of our regular and consortial members within TDL will be included in this membership as part of it at no additional service cost. So it's not something any member needs to subscribe to. There are two components to the membership. We'll be hosting 3 regional workshops where OTN staff come down to Texas and lead a day-long workshop on building open education programs at your campus. And in addition to that, we have 6 seats at the OTN Summer Institute in Minneapolis for summer 2020. That is a week-long intensive kind of workshop and learning opportunity for building expertise and also community for open educational resources. And those folks will serve as kind of a core for building a community of practice in Texas around OER. So we are going to schedule 2 of these regional Texas workshops in spring 2020. Those will most likely be in San Antonio and in the Dallas area, one in San Antonio, one in Dallas, in March. And one of these workshops will be scheduled next fall. These are train the trainer workshops that prepare campus leaders to implement OTN's OER faculty incentive programs on their campuses, and they will be free for TDL members to attend and are open only to TDL. This says TDL members will have priority registration, but that's incorrect. Only TDL members will be able to attend these workshops. And then, as I mentioned, we have 6 seats at the week-long Summer Institute. 2 of those will be reserved for ARL members, and all of the seats will be filled through an application process and a review process. So we will open up applications in October. Any of our members are welcome to apply for one of those seats. And we have a review committee who will review applications and select our 6 representatives from TDL to attend. These are all expenses paid seats, travel, registration, lodging, social events is all paid for as part of the membership. What we want to do with those 6 seats is those 6 people who attend the OTNSI is create what we're calling our inaugural class of TDL OER Ambassadors, who will serve to develop a community of practice around OER and serve the consortium, not just their institution, but the consortium, to build that community of practice and provide a source of expertise for all our consortium members. So we want people to apply for these seats who are willing to serve TDL and other members in Texas in this way. We're really excited about this. I think it's going to be a great thing for our members and for our community here in Texas. Leah DeForest, our communications strategist, who has been working on OER issues, both in her academic work and with us here at TDL, is going to be leading some of this work. And so, and she's really excited about it. And I think we're going to do some good things with it. The other area of service we're looking at is moving into a kind of production phase with our DPLA aggregation work to serve as a hub for aggregation of cultural heritage metadata to be included in DPLA. We've been partnering with the Portal to Texas History and UNT on this work. And we've kind of been soft launching this service hub with a phased rollout, working with our pilot cohort this summer. We're a little behind this timeline that's on this slide and are still working on that initial aggregation. We'll be wanting to talk to other members who are interested in participating in this service later in the fall to start preparing for a 2020 aggregation. There are service costs associated with this service, so if you want to have your cultural heritage collections included in this aggregation, there are some one-time onboarding fees and then a small maintenance fee, yearly maintenance fee going forward. We'll have more detail and more information about this as we progress through the fall, and we'll make sure you have all the nitty-gritty details about how this will work as we're ready to recruit for the next cohort. Okay, just a couple more areas of work that we're looking at really briefly, because I think we're running short on time and I want to have time for questions. But I'll just mention that we are looking for ways to develop deeper collaborations with members and partners to tackle complex problems. We want to serve as a convener, think about how we can use our working groups and interest groups to organize around issues and problems in addition to just services that we provide. And so we've been thinking about some ways to do that and are interested in hearing from you about ways that you want to do that as well. We also want to continue supporting existing and emerging efforts to strengthen the global network the global networked open infrastructure for libraries and archives. We've listed a couple of these initiatives that are ongoing right now in the larger international communities. And we will also continue to support and increase our support for open source communities and platforms through, for instance, our Platinum membership in DSpace. And finally, we're looking to continue growth in our academic library membership and opportunistically expand beyond this original base. And I regret using the term opportunistically here, but what I mean by that is we want to grow within our academic library membership. We still have room to grow there. And as opportunities arise to work with institutions outside of that base of membership, for instance, community college systems, larger public libraries, and museums like that, we will seize on those and try to find ways to work together. Within the academic library membership, and we are committed to focusing on outreach to historically Black colleges and universities in Texas with whom we have not worked in the past, and see if we can find ways to partner with those institutions. Okay, so that's it for me for now. I'm going to hand it over to Leah to give us a couple of updates about our staff and community goings on.
Thanks, Kristi, and good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. I recognize we're running low on time, so I'm going to try to talk really fast. I'm really pleased to introduce two new GRAs to the TDL community. On the left of your screen, you'll see Catherine Smithroat, who is our new help desk technician. Catherine is a second-year master's student in the School of Information at UT Austin, and she's focusing on human-computer interaction and interactive design. Catherine's background is in technical consulting and technical writing, and she's done some software development, integrations, and content management and creation. She really looks forward to working alongside of you as the help desk tech for TDL, and boy, are we glad to have you, Catherine. Also joining us, excuse me, is Hassam Andalib, who is assisting us with our IMLS-funded grant project to develop a service model for distributed digital preservation of private and sensitive data. Hassam is also a graduate student at UT School of Information. He holds a Master's of Project Management and a background in architecture. He has more than 6 years of professional experience at construction industry sites as a project management associate. And he's going to assist us with the legal agreements required, gathering technical requirements for data security, as well as assist with other project management duties with our IMLS grant. We are so grateful to have both of these extremely talented GRAs assisting us this year, and we think you'll enjoy working with them too. And a quick reminder about some upcoming events and opportunities. Next week is the DSpace North American User Group hosted by University of Minnesota Libraries and sponsored by Texas Digital Library. We're really happy a few of our members and some of our staff will be in attendance and wish them well on their journey to the Great White North. We also have an event submitted by our partners at Houston Community College. They have, if you click on that link, you can learn more, but they have a free one-day event for higher ed faculty and instructional designers in exploring adaptive courseware and how it can support student learning and success. Reminder of our upcoming Web Archiving Texas event on November 6th, and also the Introduction to Web Archiving Texas webinar series. The next webinar in that series is October 22nd. We want to just remind you to please sign up for that webinar series and also register for that free event. Another reminder that NDSA DigiPres is less than a month away, and just a reminder to register soon. If you click on that link, it'll take you to their homepage. And now Kristi can talk briefly about an opportunity to participate in an accessibility research project. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, Leah. So you may have seen through one of our listservs or other listservs around an announcement and an invitation to participate in a survey related to accessibility practices in institutional repositories at academic libraries. I've been working with a small group um, of folks, some of them within the TDL membership, who are interested in learning more about accessibility in IRs, not limited to DSpace. And so we have produced and sent out a survey, IRB approved survey, to learn more about what's going on nationwide. And we hope that we will have lots of participation from Texas institutions. So there's a link here where you can learn more. You can also, of course, check your TDL community Google group, or the DSpace national list, where we have disseminated this survey. So I encourage all of you to take a look at it and participate if you are involved at all with your institutional repository. Okay, so we got through a lot there. We're only 1 minute over. If you need to leave, of course, feel free to check out for the day. But if there are any questions, I can certainly stick around and would be happy to answer them. You can enter them in the chat window for us. We're excited about the DSpace North American Users Group happening next week, and excited that we're going to have quite a few Texas representatives there. Of course, Ed Warga, our outgoing TDL DSpace User Group Chair, has been on the planning committee for that event and will be there. TDL staff will be represented by our DSpace tech lead, Nick Woodward. And I know we have folks from A&M, UT, and U of H, I believe, attending. So I'm happy we'll be well represented there. And I'll just highlight Courtney's comment in chat, asking folks to reach out to her if you have questions about the Dataverse Larger Data Storage Project or the IMLS Planning Grant on preserving private and sensitive data. We'll be providing more detailed updates about both those projects at future forums. But in the meantime, definitely reach out if you have questions. Those are both exciting projects. Okay. Looks like there are no questions, so we will wrap it up for today. Thank you all very much for joining us for this month's forum. We'll see you same time next month for the October edition of the TDL Forum. Bye, everybody.